Hi, everybody. Really welcome to our conference for this year. It's a pretty short gap after the last one. We found there were too many conferences in October last year, so we've moved it to this time of the year, and it'll be this time of the year going forward, as we are. So, yeah, I do a lot of rock climbing. It's one of the things I've done for most of my life, but we're not going to talk about that now. This thing's out of sync, guys. So firstly, I'd just like to welcome everybody here today. It's great to have all our product partners who are here, part of it. But mostly the welcome goes out to all the advisors. I mean, this day is for you guys. It really is, hopefully it's something you really take something out of it. Hopefully you enjoy it. And really, I encourage you to sort of just to engage it as much as you go along. I want to start with a couple of thank yous that are really important. So to the people who've organized this thing, this event does not organize itself. I can assure you the amount of work that goes into this is really huge. So a huge thanks. And in that, I specifically need to mention Suzanne. Her phone hasn't stopped ringing for the last month, probably, with a lot of quite late sort of changes and this and that's and all that stuff. And you've all seen on the WhatsApp group, the poor guys in Polokwane trying to get on their flight and this and oh. And there was the other guy who rode his car off hitting a pothole this morning. So it's really, it's been all pretty hard work to organize. So a huge thank you. Okay, so I wanted to start by giving you a little bit of an overview of what's changed in the business. And this is only since our last conference. This is since we were in Cape Town in October. After what have we done? So as a business, we've grown. We've grown quite a bit, and we've helped you grow. So just can we have a hands up? People who were not at the conference in Cape Town. Okay. Welcome, guys. Like a particularly big welcome to you. I mean, it's really awesome having you on board. The business, it really is growing. It's something that, it's going to be, I think, continuing for a bit now. Joe is going to talk about some of the regulatory stuff coming, and some of that regulatory stuff really is going to make it hell of a difficult for small IFAs to stay in business. We're there to help people. We've created WhatsApp groups. Sorry, we've done the helping you grow. We run 3 different programs to help you build your client bases. And the feedback we've had from all 3 of them has been amazing. It's been really amazing. And so it's really, I said it last year, and maybe it's worth repeating it. I mean, as a business, we have one route to success, only one, and that is you being successful. It's impossible for us to be, as a business, to be successful if you guys are not successful. So, we really are invested in your success, and we want you to be successful. We've created those WhatsApp groups. I think they've been amazing. I think it's really built a very useful resource to people who want answers on specific topics as you've gone along. And I think it's built a bit of sense of community, which I think is really awesome. So that's been a huge success. We put out our client-based commission statements. So before you saw your commission all over the place as to what it was. Now you would see client Bob or whatever with all the different products that you've got with that client and how much money are you making from clients. That really helps from a client segmentation perspective. Are you giving the right level of service to the right clients? Do you really understand that? We had a lot of people asking us about branded stuff, merchandise. And our response to that is we've launched the FC store. So that's a store where you can get all sorts of different branded stuff. We're super open to suggestions for more different things. If there's things that you want that we don't have, please ask us, we can do that. It's something that's going to evolve as we go along. And please, have a look at some of the stuff that's there. And we've got a nice surprise coming up for you about that a little while later. We've launched a recognition program called the Extra Mile Club. Not the Mile High Club, it's different. But who would have thought that there would be a financial services business that would launch a recognition program that rewarded great client outcomes and excellent practice management and not production? I think it's pretty different. And again, it really comes down to, we really want you guys to run great businesses. You have great businesses, we've got a great business. It's an awesome business. So that's there. We've got 2 bits of new tech that we're doing. And so I'm not a fan of tech for the sake of tech. Just because it's a cool app does not mean you should have it. But We've got 2 bits of tech, and I'll just briefly mention them. The first is Seed Analytics. They're outside. If you haven't spoken to them, please go and have a chat to them. Please go and see what their tech does. They produce client-level portfolio statements for you every month. You don't have to do anything. It will aggregate across lists, across unit trust companies, across DFMs. It will show all the individual investments that are sitting in there. It will show you a portfolio view of what's going on, including the asset allocation within your portfolio. But it's really amazing. I think you can completely wow your A and B clients, and I think you can pretty much automate your processes for your C's and D's. Please have a chat to them about that. I think it's amazing. The second one, which we were busy with, so with the grey listing, the money laundering requirements are only going to go up. Clearly, we got grey listed because our money laundering processes weren't good enough. We are contracting with a company called Beeswax. We're 3/4 of the way through the implementation. But when you capture client information into the CRM system in Xplan going forward, without you having to do anything, it will go away and come back and say, this is a client you do or don't want to do business with. It will risk rate the client for you. It looks across every database from a money laundering perspective. It goes on negative publicity in the media around this person or not. And you don't have to do anything. It will seamlessly integrate into the back end of Xplan. It's a real time saver, and it's really from a risk management perspective. It's incredibly good to know we've got a system that will pick up clients that we really shouldn't be doing business with. And lastly, we've got 2 really interesting new businesses that we've started. The first is Al Himayah. It is a specialist Sharia finance business. Mo and Shamil are here today. They've got a stand outside as well. So more than being a business on its own, they are creating a network for advisors who want to work in that market. So if you have any Muslim clients, you should be having a chat to them around what it is that they're building. It is far more than a basket of product that works in that space. It's a market that has largely been underserviced, and we've got real plans to grow that piece of the business. I think it's hell of exciting. The second one is, as you picture, is Nasif's walk-in center. So that's a coffee shop in a shopping mall in Cape Town, opened 6 weeks ago. And Nasif and Takira are here today. So have a chat to them on what it's about. It's very early days, I'd say 6 weeks. The early signs are hell of a good. But there's a scenario where we are rolling that out across the country. This changes financial services completely from a convenience perspective. If you are a broker in close proximity to Kenilworth Centre and you are not engaging your clients frequently, you should be terrified of this. Because this is so convenient for a client to walk in, get advice on any product from any provider across the industry, and get a nice cup of coffee while they're doing it in a nice environment. So this is something, again, we really believe this has got huge legs and something incredibly exciting. So let's talk to the theme of today, from revenue to profit. What's that all about? As Karabo said, it definitely is a build on previously, and it's this whole idea of working on your practice rather than in it. It's something that, between the demands of clients and the demands of our friends from Mastead, the compliance side of it, you can get pretty caught up in your practice. And it's time just to stand back sometimes and think about, what is my business doing? Where am I going? And this is a continuation, absolutely, of that. The whole idea of the phrase is that, pretty much if I ask any of you, what is your revenue? Most advisors pretty much know that number. That's a pretty easy number to know. If I was to ask you, how much profit do you make, and do you know what the profit drivers are in your business? Maybe less so, right? And it's more how an entrepreneur would think about it as opposed to a technician, I suppose, or a professional working there. So, profit is very simple. Karabo told us her stealing cars example, which is helpful, thank you. But profit is simply revenue minus expenses, right? So to make more profit, more revenue, less expense, sorted, done. So it's not difficult. But that's hopelessly simplistic. Because spending money wisely in your practice will grow your revenue by multiples of that number. So, for example, spending money wisely on marketing is an example. You might spend 10 grand on marketing, but you make 20,000 of revenue from it, and hence your profit goes up. So, Today you're going to hear a lot of different perspectives from people on this topic. And different perspectives are one of the most useful things in the world, right? Because I can only generate so many ideas myself. And then I'm going to run out of my own ideas. But when I sit and I listen to somebody else, and best is if I don't necessarily agree with them right off the bat, and maybe that they say something, I go, I never really thought of it like that. In that way, I'm likely to now do something different to what I've been doing before, and potentially really, growing the business. So I really encourage you to listen to different people and to listen to those different perspectives as we go through the day. So I'll come to your quote now, Ray. Where you spend your time and money really matters. Okay, so yes, you need to spend some money to keep the business going. As I said, if you spend it cleverly, you will make orders of magnitude more than what you're doing than if you spend it poorly. I mean, an easy example is to spend money on IT that doesn't solve any problem for you, or to hire a completely useless assistant. Absolutely useless assistant, right? That's one money wasted. And so the kind of way I think about this is as to how do you narrow that down for yourself? Is it everyone here started out as a beginner advisor at some point in your life? And that first person that became a client wasn't a client, they were a customer. You didn't know them before that, or maybe you did, but that was because they were family of yours. You didn't have a professional relationship with them. You were selling products to customers at the beginning. That was the natural way to start. As you've gone through your life and as you've built up practice and as you've stayed there for longer, those clients have become clients. They become people that you know and trust, and they trust you, and you've worked with them over a period. And naturally you evolve from sales to customers to service to clients. So where you spend your money on that thing is really different. At the beginning, you need to spend a lot of money on marketing, right? Because you're trying to get more customers. When you're at the stage where you've got a really good, stable practice, you don't need to spend lots of money on marketing. You've got the people already. You should really be spending your money on customer service, customer experience, Really thinking hard around am I delighting the customers that I already have? Because if you have that, there was a quote somewhere in that opening video, those people tell their friends and family, and they will naturally bring other clients to you as you go along. So really important. And I had a meeting with one of the advisors, Ray, who's sitting just back over there, a couple of weeks ago, and I mentioned this is what the topic was. And he said, man, this is easy. Just look after your clients and the revenue takes care of itself. I think it's a great quote. So if we look forward to the next few months as to where we're going to be launching something else that's new and something that's different. And I need to tell you a story about this because it kind of makes it make sense. So 3 years ago, I broke my big toe in a kind of weird accident, rock climbing. I saw the doctor, and because it didn't fix itself, and she sent me off to an orthopod, and the orthopod sent me off to have MRI done on my toe and what have you. And when I came back to get the results from him, he said, wow, you've got a really interesting break here. He says, I've discussed this with a number of my colleagues, and I'll tell you what we think. So in that scenario, I was the patient or client, if you want to call it that. And I was absolutely thrilled that the specialist doctor had consulted other specialist doctors to give me more than a second and third opinion all in one go. Right? As a client, I did not think less of the doctor because he'd consulted somebody else. I thought more of him. I loved the fact that I was getting a view of several people as opposed to one individual. I care about my toe. Right? The fact that it was 3 months after I'd broken it and it was still absolutely buggered, and it still partly is a problem. So then a couple of weeks ago, Greg Williams, Greg's here somewhere, Greg had a chat with us, and his whole thing was, couldn't we set up some kind of council to help advisors with, particularly less experienced advisors, with clients at really important decisions in their lives? Now, there's a lot of important decisions, but retirement is the very obvious one, right? And so we're going to set up a council, and guys, this is going to be volunteers. These are people who want to give back and help people, where you will put it in a scenario, not with 5 minutes notice, with a reasonable time frame. Say, listen, this is my client. They're retiring in 3 months' time. This is their situation, and this is the advice that I think that I want to give them. The council will consider it. The council will either come back and say, bang on, we absolutely agree with you. Or they'll say, well, hey, what about this? Have you thought about this angle to it? And this is not compliance, guys. This has got nothing to do with compliance. This is about elevating the advice that we give. This is about giving you that real confidence, particularly if you're relatively new in the industry, of going to that client and saying, I've discussed this with my colleagues, and this is what we think, right? So exactly the same as the scenario where with me and the doctor, where I loved the fact that the doctor had consulted. It's going to be the same idea. So we're going to be launching this in the next couple of months. I really think it'll be something good. As I say, please, this is not compliance. This is not compulsory. You can choose to ignore the council's view, and you can say, listen, I actually think differently, and this is what I'm going to implement. But I really encourage people to embrace this as a way of as I say, giving you that confidence that what you're doing and the advice that you're giving to clients is, in fact, really excellent. So something I'm really looking forward to. So, someone didn't listen, Korabo. Okay, so just my thoughts for today as we kind of get going here. So, number one, as I mentioned in the beginning, you're going to get different perspectives. Perspective is beautiful. It is so important that we listen to different perspectives. People who think about the same topic as you, but approach it differently. And look, you may still think their answer is rubbish. That's fine. But they may say something that gives you an idea that you go, wow, I just never thought of it quite like that. So really listen. The second thing is, if you remember last year, for those who were in Cape Town, our speaker, Rich Mulholland, he had a comment about making notes. Making notes moves you from being a spectator to a participant. You can sit here the whole day and you can listen quite carefully, but I guarantee you, if you do not make notes, if I ask you in 3 or 4 weeks' time, what did you hear? You'll remember almost nothing. You may remember it was very cool, but you won't remember the detail. So if you hear something, say something good, write it down. Make a couple of notes. Jot it down as you go along. Take your phone out, wherever you like making notes. But if you make a note and refer back to it, it really is a chance that some of these great ideas you'll hear may end up actually being implemented in your practice. The third thing is around engaging our partners. We've got a number of partners here today. It's awesome having them all here. Please go and chat to them. Go chat to everyone. Ask them what they're about. As I've said in a couple of the sessions we had with the investment forum a few weeks ago, you don't know what you don't know. And there might be a product provider that you've just gone, I'm not interested. And then when you talk to them, you suddenly go, oh, wow, I didn't know that was what you guys did. Something really amazing. So I really encourage you to go and talk to all the people here. And again, maybe you go, oh, no, that's exactly what I thought it was, and I'm still not interested. But maybe you go, I didn't know that. That's actually really cool. That's potentially a great solution for some of my clients. Obviously, we'd love you to meet all your colleagues here, both here today and, of course, later on tonight, when we might have an adult beverage or two. Really lack a chance. Please just chat to different people. Obviously, for some of the guys coming back for the second in-person conference, you're seeing people that you'd met previously. I was chatting to Tina and Michelle saying, listen, they got on the plane from George this morning and suddenly discovered there was another Fairbairn advisor in George they didn't know. So it was great to see that. But then Hannes, you were saying just how nice it was getting on the plane and going, oh, hang on, I recognize you. You were at the conference last time as well, and starting to see people who are becoming friends. And lastly, obviously, I'd love you all to have fun and really enjoy the day today. And that's me. Thank you so much.